Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll be showing you guys how to cut and sew a simple bustier crop top like the one that I'm wearing, and I achieved the style using 1 yard of African print fabric. In my previous video I showed you guys how to make the skirt. I'll leave the link pinned in the comment section and also in the description box. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share to your loved ones and subscribe to my channel. So to make this top, you're going to need about 1 yard of African print fabric. I have my tape rule, my scissors and my rulers. You're also going to need your lining. So I'm going to draft this top on the pattern paper for clarity and accuracy of measurement. So on the paper, the first thing I'm going to do is to mark out a starting line at the upper part, which is going to serve as the shoulder line. So since this top is in form of a tube bustier, I'm going to place my tape rule 7 inches above that shoulder line. So you want your tube bustier to sit on your chest line. My shoulder to my chest line is 8 inches, but I'm using 7 inches because I don't want it too low, which is just 1 inch above my chest line. So you can decide to work with that same measurement for yours. So placing my tape rule 7 inches above the shoulder line, I'm going to mark from my shoulder to my nipple point, which is 10.5 inches, my shoulder to my under bust, and my shoulder to my half length. After that, I'll go ahead to mark the full length of this top, which is 19 inches plus 1 inch for turning over. And then I'll extend the lines this way. This is the under bust line, this is the half length, and this is the full length. And then I'll go ahead to label the lines appropriately to avoid any mix-up. After labeling, the next thing I want to do is to mark out the dart. So I'll come over to the center front and mark my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. So for mine it is 4 inches, and I'm going to mark that 4 inches starting from this center front. I'll mark the 4 inches on all the lines. So go ahead to mark your own correct measurement and then connect the points together. After connecting, I'll come over to the under bust, and towards this center front I'm going to take 1 inch away from that line, and towards the other side I'll take 1 inch. So a bigger sized bust can do 1.5 inches towards that side. And on the bust line I'll come down by 1 inch and then take my curved ruler to connect the points together this way. This is what we have. After that, I'll come over to the half length line and take that same 1 inch on both sides of the line, and on the full length I'll do the same thing, and then I'll use my ruler to connect the point all the way to meet the under bust this way. So the next thing to do is to take in the over bust tightening, and I'm going to be doing 0.5 inches on both sides of the line. A bigger size can do 0.75 inches on both sides. I hope you guys understand. And I'll take the straight part of my ruler and just connect it all the way to the bust line this way. So we're going to open up this dart point that I'm shading when we are cutting. The next thing I want to do is to mark out the body measurement. So starting with the bust line, I'll divide the round bust measurement I'm working with by 4, and then I'll add 1.5 inches for seam allowance to make 12 inches. So I'm going to mark that same 12 inches on the chest line. You don't need to add that dart to it. And on the under bust, I'll mark the round under bust measurements divided by 4, which is 8.5. I'll add 2 inches for the dart and 1.5 inches for seam allowance. So my under bust and my waist measurements are the same. So I'll just go ahead to place that same measurement there. And on the full length of my top, I'm going to add 1 inch to whatever I have on the waistline. So since I have 12 inches there, I'm going to mark 13 inches because you don't want that part of your top to be too tight because of your tummy. I hope you guys understand. Then I'll connect it this way. So this is basically all for the front part of this top. But if you want your own top to be higher than mine, you're going to need to come down towards this armhole area to your chest line so that it sits very well under your armpit. I hope you guys understand. So let's go ahead now to cut it out. And then I'll open up the dart point this way. After doing that, I'll go ahead to label my pattern. So for this center front, I'll cut it in a fold. I hope you guys understand. And for this, I'll be cutting out 2 pieces. So let's work on the back panel. So for the back panel, at the center back, I'm going to come in by 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. So as you can see, my paper is not in a fold, but when I'm cutting on my fabric, I'll fold into 2. After that, I'll mark out a straight line at the upper part of my paper just like I did with the front, and then I'll place my tape roll 7 inches above that line again. I hope you guys understand, to mark all the vertical measurements. The first one is from my shoulder to my bust point, my shoulder to my half length, and my shoulder to the full length, and then go ahead to extend the lines this way and label them appropriately. So after labeling, the next thing is to mark out the dart. So you're going to take your measurements from this zipper allowance line. So I'll mark that same 4 inches I used in front on all the lines this way and connect the points together. After connecting, I'll come over now to the bust line and come up by 1 inch. And on the waistline, the half length line, I'm going to take half an inch on both sides, and also take half an inch on both sides of the line on the full length, and then I'll connect the points this way. So I'll also be cutting out these darts when I'm done. The next thing is to mark the round body measurement. On the bust line, I'll place the round body measurements divided by 4 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll mark the same thing on the chest line. On the waistline, I'll mark the round waist measurement divided by 4. I'll add 1 inch for my darts and 1.5 inches for seam allowance. And whatever I have there, I'm going to add 1 inch to it on the full length, and then go ahead to connect the points together. After that, I'll proceed to cut out the side. So before I open up the dart, I'm going to take out my zipper bulge allowance. So I'll come over to the waistline. From the center back, I'll come in by 0.5 inches, and then use my ruler to connect it all the way up this way and down this way. So I'll also be cutting out this shaded part. So after cutting out, I'll proceed now to open up my dart area. So I'm going to go ahead now to close up this pattern paper using my masking tape. So I just have to cut out one piece of each. So meaning I'll be cutting out 2 pieces of this particular pattern after joining together. So I have used the patterns to cut on my fabric, and this is what we have. I added half an inch all around the dart areas, and for the back I added half an inch towards the zipper area for turning over. So I joined the patterns together like I explained earlier, and I cut out 2 pieces of it. For this, it's in a fold as you can see, and that is the center front, and I have 2 pieces of the sides. So the next thing we want to do now is to start joining the fabric together. I also cut out lining pieces for each of the fabrics. So I'll take out the pattern papers now, and then we'll start to join together. So we're going to start with the front panels. So I'll open it up. At this point, if you want to pad your bustier, you want to add breast pad to it, you can go ahead to iron it on the wrong side before you start to join. But for mine, I won't be padding. So I'll go ahead to place them this way and close it up all the way down. Using that half-inch allowance, I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll close it up all the way down. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the lining pieces. So guys, after joining, this is what it looks like. I have also joined the 3 pieces of my lining together. The next thing I want to do is to notch this seam. So you're going to just use your scissors to cut the seam open, making sure it doesn't get to the thread. And then I'll do it on the other side. So like I said, I'm going to repeat the same process on the lining pieces. I'm going to cut it open. So after cutting, I'm going to place this bustier now on a circular surface, preferably your tailor's ham, or you could just form any circular surface and then place this bustier on it. Then go ahead to open it up this way with your iron and iron it out. So iron it out very well, and by doing this, your bustier is going to appear very neat on the right side. So I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side. When I'm done, I'll open up the seam and just iron it out on the tailor's ham. So I'll repeat the same thing on my lining and show you guys. So guys, after I ironed it out, this is what it looks like, and this is what the bustier now looks like on the right side. So guys, make sure to iron your hair stay to the wrong side of your lining and the wrong side of your fabric before you start to join them together. So the next thing we want to do is to attach the straps for the sleeve. So remember we came down by 7 inches on the front panel for the off shoulder, and at the back we also came down by 7 inches. So 7 plus 7 is 14 inches, and I'm going to add extra 1 inch to it for the joining allowance. So if you guys understand, so the length of my strap is going to be 15 inches, and I've cut it out already. I have 15 inches length for both straps, and for the wideness I have 2.5 inches, so I'm still going to fold it into two. I want the wideness of my strap to be around 1 inch, so when I fold into two, I'm going to use quarter of an inch to close it up all the way down. So I'll do the same thing for this strap, and then I'll turn it over to the right side and iron it out. So after turning over, this is what we have now. I also ironed it out. The next thing is to attach it to the top. So I'm going to take the strap and come over to the point where I have my joining. So I'm going to place the strap after the joining and just go ahead to pin it down. So I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. After the dart joining, I'll place the strap right side facing the fabric and then go ahead to pin it down. And then take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down. So after stitching, I'm going to then place my lining on it this way, right sides facing each other, and then go ahead to close up the upper parts using half an inch. When I'm done with the upper part, I'll come over to the base, fixing the straps into it this way, and then go ahead to close it up. And then I'll also close up the side using quarter of an inch. I'll leave a part open at the base for turning over. So guys, after closing up, this is what we have. So I left the space opened to turn over to the right side, which I'm going to do now. So after turning over, make sure to bring out all the edges this way, and this is what we have. So I'll go ahead now to iron this out so that it lays down flat. So after ironing, this is what it looks like now, and this is what the wrong side looks like. Next thing I want to do is to attach these straps to the back panel. So these are the two pieces of my back panel, and I'm going to place the front right side facing it this way. So from the center back, I'm going to come in by 5.5 inches, 1.5 inches for the zipper allowance and 4 inches for my dart. So after that 5.5 inches, I'm going to place the strap this way. So make sure to arrange the strap well before you stitch it down so that it doesn't come out twisted when you are done. As you can see, mine is laying flat, right sides facing each other. And I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. I'll go ahead to pin it down and stitch it. After stitching, I'll then place my lining piece on it this way and then go ahead to close up the upper part. So place the lining right side facing it this way and then stitch the upper part closed. When I'm done, I'll pass the strap out on one side towards the side and then go ahead to close up the base of my top, and then I'll also close up the zipper allowance area. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So make sure to shift the strap to the side before you close up the base. Hope you guys understand. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll turn it over and show you guys. So guys, I turned over to the right side and this is what we have. I also ironed it out and you can see how beautiful it looks already. The next one I want to do is to close up the sides of the top. So this is me placing them right sides facing each other. So after arranging them very well, I'm going to take out my side seam allowance, which is 1.5 inches. But since I've already used half an inch turnover with my lining, I'm going to be marking 1 inch as my seam allowance all the way down, and then I'll go ahead to connect the points together. I'll repeat the same process on the other side. So I'll take it to my sewing machine now and stitch it closed all the way down. So guys, after stitching, this is what we have. And this is what it looks like on the inside. So the next thing we want to do is to attach our zipper to the back panel. So I'm going to go ahead now to mark out my zipper allowance. So I took 1.5 inches initially, but since we turned over with our lining, I have just 1 inch left. So I'll go ahead now to mark my zipper allowance of 1 inch all the way down, and then connect the points together. So this is going to serve as a guideline for me when I'm fixing my zipper. So I'll flip this over now to the wrong side. So this is my zipper allowance. I'm going to place the right side of my zipper facing it this way, and then on that line I marked out, I'm going to pin the zipper. So I'm going to pin the zipper directly on the line this way, all the way up, and then I'll fold in the excess at the upper part and then go ahead to stitch it all the way down. So after that, I'll repeat the same process on the other side, pin the zipper directly on the line all the way up, and then fold the edge. So I'll stitch it all the way down on this side and stitch it all the way down on the other side. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys the finished product of the top. So guys, after inserting the zipper, this is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful it looks. So this is what we end this video for today. I hope you found it useful and I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Bye.